Hi, Mickey.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
Fine, fine, and you?
Good, good.
I'm happy to have you here, and thanks you for your answer. I'm really proud of having you here, and we are so happy
No,
about it.
very happy to be here as well.
Thank you. Okay. Do you want to present you a little bit so people knows who you are and what are your interests and your hobbies?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm Micky Smeds. I'm from Finland, Helsinki, and I've been now animating for roughly 10 plus years in the industry. I've been both in feature films, but also a lot in games. So I've been in kind of both areas. My hobbies, well, currently I have a 10-month-old daughter, so that's like
Oh.
pretty much taking up all my time, except from work. But yeah, other than that, I play sports like hockey. Uh, I like to just hang out and draw and be away actually from the computer when I'm not working, just to freshen your eyes and do something completely else, which I think it's good for everyone. Uh, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Like a very short introduction, but
Okay. Uh, What what is what was your journey? How did you find that 3D was your field, and how did you find that animating in 3D was something that you wanted to do for your life?
so actually I've always been like interested in like since high school or even like middle school, I was very interested in doing like movies and drawing and stuff like that. Those classes were always my the thing I really liked, and everything rest was like I don't really like this. And then I also had my brother, he like older brother, so he was actually he's a really good artist, like drawer, and he was also experimenting with animation, like 2D animation and stuff. But after high school, I had to go to the army. We all people here in Finland have has to do that. So I went to the army, and I grew a little bit and thought, what should I do after the army? So I decided to go into filmmaking actually. So I moved to Sweden to work or to study at a school called SCI, I think it's SCI Academy, and it was like a 1 year program of just filmmaking. Uh, and there actually was when I realized that I want to do 3D because we had this one very short class with Maya, and we learned how to model. I think it was a hammer, and that was it. And I was like, oh, this is super complicated, but I really like this way more than filmmaking because it's so like challenging, and very different. um, so after I got the diploma for filmmaking, I decided to I want to like study animation like full time. I don't want to do film anymore, or like real real action film. So I so I moved to San Francisco to Academy of Art University, and I enrolled in their character animation program, or yeah, degree. And I was there for I believe it was 3 years. Also, I was kind of like older than everyone else, so I was just focusing on school, and everybody else was just drinking and doing their things, what they do in college in US. Uh, but so I really liked, like I felt they had a really good school there because you were also doing like figure drawing and anatomy and stuff like that, which I think it's very important to do, which they don't really teach you in online schools. But then again, they didn't have enough animation classes at the school, in my opinion. So I also, on the side uh, of doing my normal classes, I was also taking Animation Mentor, the online class school, on the side. So it was quite a lot of work. Uh, but I finished that, and just because of when I graduated, just because of visa issues with US and Finland, it's not that easy. You have to find a job in 2 months, I think, or then you get kicked out. So it was very hard to find, and find a job as a junior or as a student coming up from school. So I decided to just move back to Finland and try to find something here. And yeah, I landed a junior position pretty quickly, I think. It was at an animation studio, but we were doing kind of like this South Park styled like series TV show, Finnish TV show. And yeah, so I was there for a while. I think I was there maybe for 10 months. And back then, this was like in 2011. And back then, Angry Birds got super huge in the world. It was like very big. And Rovio, which is like the creators of Angry Birds, they're located here. And I got an opportunity to get a job at Rovio, so I moved quite quickly there and started to not work in games, but actually work on their marketing stuff. So we were doing like really cool stuff, like short films for Angry Birds, and it was very like free. We didn't really have any like guidelines or like what we should. We had like this small 3D team, and we could pretty much just explore and do whatever for a while at least. So we were doing like Angry Birds, Star Wars short films and stuff like this, and it was really nice. It was super nice, and a lot of people actually left from the team. So I also decided to leave, and I stayed in Finland for a while. I was working for Remedy Entertainment. We were working on Quantum. I don't remember the game, but they made Max Payne, these games. I don't know if you're aware, but that was just for me. It was kind of very technical, and I didn't get the creativity there at all because it was all mocap. So it was like, you know, cleaning up curves and stuff like that. So I was only there for I think a month, and then I moved on to a studio here in Finland called Next Games, and there I was for maybe two years or something like that, and I was working mostly on the Walking Dead mobile game. And yeah, after that I decided I really want to try to get into doing actual movies, because back then it was like I was very passionate. I really wanted to work for Pixar or Disney, like that was my dream. And I got this opportunity. I don't know why, because it was very random. But I got this opportunity to get a job in Toronto at a studio called Toonbox, and to work on a movie called Nut Job 2. And I took like my girlfriend and my dog, and we flew there, and I worked there for a year and a half, and it was very nice. I learned a lot, and it was super cool. But we decided to move back to Finland because we still had family and friends here, you know, so it was nice to come back. But then I was in this dilemma again, that there are really no feature film studios in Finland. There's a lot of game studios here, but not any film studios or like animation film studios. So I went, I believe after Toronto, I don't remember where I went. Yeah, I went actually to this company called Brink, which was this sort of like commercial company or production company. So they made like commercials for anything, you know. But I was only there for half a year before I then moved to London to work at Micros Animation on a movie called Sherlock Gnomes. And for me, that was also really nice. It was a very short project. They needed animators really quickly, and because I'm a European citizen, I could just, you know, fly there and start working straight away, pretty much. So I was there for 2 months. Then I moved back again to Finland, and I believe then I actually went back to Next Games to work for a while, I think, in 8 months. And I worked on their Blade Runner mobile game. I don't know if it's out or if it's maybe in soft launch right now. I'm not sure. But then I got a really good opportunity to go back to Rovio to work on a totally new thing, not Angry Birds anymore. and I was there for also maybe 8 months before I got this new opportunity to fly to Montreal and work for Real Effects, which was like on Scooby-Doo movie. And that was like, it was kind of like, okay, I really want to do this. My girlfriend, she wasn't very open to move with me. But I was kind of like, yeah, I'm just going to fly there, be there for a while and finish the movie and be like, learn a lot on that end. And I learned a lot and it was super nice. It was like very high skilled leads and animators there and artists overall. It's a very good company and it was super fun to be there. A part of being away from family and friends and everything. But
How long have you been there, Mickey? In Montreal?
I was in Montreal for 6 months.
6 months. Okay.
Yeah.
So you are just jumping over and over and over.
I'm jumping. Yeah. But then, so after Montreal, our daughter was born. And that's when I decided that, okay, I need to settle down now. I need to and now, so first after Montreal, I worked for Supercell as a freelancer. And then they decided to take me on board full time. And now I'm working there full time. And it's super nice. It's a very, very nice company, a lot of freedom. And, I really like it.
Okay, that's super nice. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
you said before that you were older than the others during the college years. How old
Yeah.
were you in the span of time?
I was not very old, but I was still 22, I think. But they were just 18, they were just drinking, and.
Yeah. Okay, no, I thought you were way older.
No,
Okay.
no. Yeah, but it was a fun. It's been a fun journey, and yeah.
Oh yeah, it seems like that. And I wish to know also, did you find like tiring to jump straight away from project to project, or it is like super funny and super exciting?
Mm, well, it can for sure be hard, but usually if it's a big studio, they are very prepared to actually. You have like 2 weeks of just learning the tools and everything, and of course you have to be proactive and ask around. If you don't ask, then you probably won't learn that fast. But yeah, it can be definitely tough. Like when I moved to London for only 2 months, it was like I was there and the next day they gave me a shot and I was supposed to animate and I had no clue how to like even use the rigs. Like of course the rigs are usually pretty similar, but it was very hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious about, like you said, you landed your first job in Finland, right?
Yeah.
How did you get into this first job? How did you do it?
I think I just applied. I don't even know if they had a open position per se. I was just, I needed to find a job and I was super confident that I will find a job because I'm back in Finland and I'm not in US. I've been studying in US. I was kind of like young and cocky back then, but yeah, I was super lucky to find a job, and it was fun. But I don't know. When I was always in my back of my head. I was kind of like I really wanted to work for films, and I wasn't really super happy at any point until I tried to do film. But now when I'm back, I've done already a few features, so I'm super happy now to work in games again.
Okay.
I'm thinking that when you when we were talking before, like before starting recording, you said that this is something that you would have loved to have when you were at the beginning of everything. Is there something in particular that you would have liked to heard from a senior, from someone that is already in the industry, that, for example, you can share with us today with the guys that are now the younger you, let's say?
Yeah. There are definitely stuff, but most of the stuff actually, it's kind of hard because I realized that actually probably 50% of what I am now have come because of all my work and where I've been, because you learn at the studios a lot more than in school. In school, it's kind of like they want to guide you some, you know, like if you want to focus more on games, they can guide you a little bit, like how to make those animations and stuff. But in the end, I feel all those small tips and tricks, how you polish stuff and how you make it really nice looking, that's not something you will learn probably in school. There are a few, of course, classes that they teach you very detailed and really good. Like I've seen student work that it's way better than mine, uh, but it's just it's not really the same when you're actually in a studio working, because when you're a student, you can also polish and like it's very different. But uh, but yeah, I just wish maybe someone would have helped me and said what's actually important for a reel, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They maybe they tried, like the teachers, they tried to explain, but it was super like you still wanted to render it out and be like, oh yeah, this is so cool looking, but it really doesn't matter. Especially for an animator, they really don't care how it looks as long as the animation is amazing. If it's just a play blast with like grayscale everything, they don't care. Uh, but yeah, it's interesting. Like a lot of students put a lot of time in, and even I did, like put a lot of time in rendering and putting the lights, everything, even effects and stuff. But in the end, if you want to be an animator, they don't really care at all.
So there is no difference on using 3D models with textures and gray boxing is no difference in the real.
No, I mean, of course, if it's important to have the texture, then yeah, then yeah, it's good. But it doesn't have to be like amazing. Of course, it will. It might help, but it's not gonna, it's not gonna help your animation if it looks nice, but the animation is crap. They will see that. It's same for motion blur. I was like, that's one thing the teachers told me, that don't use motion blur because that's something that they really don't like to see in reels, because then you're sort of hiding, something. But I just put it there anyway. But now I realized that there was no point doing that.
Okay. And are you also interviewing people for some junior position in Supercell?
Uh, no, so the thing is, at Supercell actually it works pretty differently. So we don't really, or the company overall, they don't really care about positions. Like I would say, most of the people are just game artists. They don't really, even if you're specialized in, modeling or VFX or animation, even, you're still a game artist. They don't really, but you know what you can do anyway, best, and you do that. And then, so for instance, in my team, I'm responsible for all animation, even though I'm just an animator. But in other companies, I would probably be the lead or something, supervisor.
Okay.
I don't know. But they really don't. But this is very different from studio to studio, of course. But I would say at Supercell, it's way different than any other studio. And it was very confusing first, but now I've sort of learned that, okay, I take care of the animation for this project, but of course the other artists are, they give feedback and stuff. But in the end, if you're the best person to do that task, then you should take care of that.
Okay. Do you think that this is a case of Supercell in particular, or animators are just usually in companies, because you jumped between a company and the other
Yeah.
in time, so
Yeah.
you've seen a lot of different teams, a lot of different projects. Is that usual that animators are quite few, or is it a particular case?
I would say this is pretty specific to Supercell. I would say, like, especially in big studios, game or film, they always need a lot of animators, no matter what. Of course, it depends on the game, but if it's a 3D game, then they will need animators for sure.
Question out of my curiosity itself, like now that a lot of mocaps are always more also, let's say, cheaper from a
Yeah.
certain point of view, and more companies, I think at least, start to use it more. How does your work changed or is changing in time, if it's changing at all?
Yeah, so I actually try to avoid mocap as much as I can, and I try to find projects that are too cartoony to do mocap, you know?
Okay.
Because I really I don't have anything against mocap. It can be great for stuff like realistic games, and some people love it, you know, to do the technical stuff and
Mhm.
and even do their own mocap. And but for me, I like to be more creative and be just, you know, do, I guess, more cartoony animation overall than or stylized animation than realistic animation.
Okay.
Okay, okay. And do you think that you can also switch as a junior between film industry and game industries as an animator, or it's harder right now because of the pandemic?
Mm, I think it's harder for sure. It might be easier to switch from film to games, but switching from games to film, there's a huge difference because just because of the level of detail you need to put into movies is like the rigs are, well, for instance, rigs at Supercell, we usually have maybe around, you know, 30-40 controls on the rigs. But then at feature films, like on Scooby-Doo, I think we had like 500. So it's a lot of, you know, you have to.
Okay. Okay,
But
yeah.
of course, some people can do it. Yeah, but I would say for juniors, it's going to be a lot harder to do it. Uh,
Okay,
yeah.
and it is possible to learn animation for films and then apply for a position in a game industry, or it is so different that someone has to take a path and decide films or games.
Mm, yeah, I think it's actually getting harder. It used to be just because of the, or it actually depends. I don't, it's a hard question because, of course, if you have to know, like, some stuff is different, works in a very different way. Like in movies you can cheat a lot because you only, what you see on camera is
Mhm.
what you actually
That's
will
true.
see, you know. You can
That's
cheat,
true.
it doesn't matter what happens outside. But in games it's totally opposite. You have to take into account that everything, like, the player will see everything and you can't really cheat anything. uh, so yeah, I would say, and it is harder actually to, but yeah, it's a good question. It's also, it might not, even though I said it might be easier to move from movies to games, but it can also be tricky because you have to know the workflow, and some studios, they don't
Mhm.
have time to show that, you know. You have to know how to do cycles, and that you don't really, I mean, some studios, like movie studios, do cycles, of course, for crowd people and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. But I still think it might be easier to move from film to games than the opposite.
Okay.
Okay. So, do you have like because when you get out of school, the thing that they tell you to do is do your showreel, okay? And you told us before that you made your own, that you apply through website on speculative applications. So you sent your reel. One thing that a lot of people see when trying to do the reel is a reel of other people. But when you go on YouTube or Vimeo, you see a lot of amazing reel of not juniors, let's say, from seniors or mid-level.
Yeah.
That it can be encouraging on one side, but also discouraging on the other, because you could probably confront that, compare it with your own reel, and you see that is not the best one. Do you still have your first show reel, or
Yeah. I think I have it somewhere. Yeah, for
because I
sure.
think that if you want to, sharing that with the people would be a thing that is much more inspirational, because to see that great artists start from small things, start from much simpler stuff, and then grow, making their job and jumping from one job to the
Yeah.
other. Do you think that
Yeah.
you
I
do
can
it?
share that. No problem.
Thank
I
you.
just have to find it. But
Thank you.
it's
Yeah,
somewhere. I
yeah,
know it's somewhere.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I think that, as Piero said, it's not worth to show your last reel to juniors because they are going just to throw everything in the bin and to stop working. And it's really helpful to them to, in fact, show the something that where you started and where you
Yeah.
are right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but I
Okay.
think one advice for juniors is also to,
Okay.
when they make reels, they shouldn't compare themselves to, especially what I did. Was it was kind of a mistake. I wish I never done that, but I was always comparing, like taking ideas from amazing reels. You know, if there was like a cool body mechanic shot, I was like, yeah, I want to try something like that. Of course, it's inspiring to do, but I think you should just follow, your heart and do whatever you like to do, because that's in the end what the studios also want to see. They want to see, you know, how you are as an animator, and what you can come up with and stuff. And if you can come up with something crazy and creative, that's going to be way more worth than if you just do something that sort of, you can see a pattern sometimes when you look at reels, that they are pretty similar. When this Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse, it
Yeah.
was like they released a rig for like that looked like Spider-Verse, and a lot of people made animations with that rig, which is cool, but all of them were kind of like similar to Spider-Verse. And then after a while, I was like, it's not even worth watching anymore, because I feel like they all kind of like the movie, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And there is something that made you snap between realistic animation and stylized animation. So why did you choose stylized animation?
Uh, I think it was at Remedy I realized that I don't want to get into realistic animation at all, because the mocap was so off-putting for me. I didn't want to like, and also I like when it's like super squash and stretch, and you can play around, and it's super hard also, and but it's very rewarding when it looks super nice and smooth, and it's super squashy and stuff like that. So I really like to animate
Okay.
those characters, even though I don't do that all the time at work. But anyway, it's very nice.
Okay. Right.
And you are also doing animation in your free time, or you are doing something completely different in your free time, just to.
Uh, well, at the moment, I'm not animating on my free time, just because I have my daughter and
Yeah.
she takes
Gotcha.
up all my time. But I wish I had. Sometimes I wish I had time, because it's also nice to just, if there's something you want to improve on, like let's say lip sync, or
Mm.
facial animation. We don't really have facial animation at work, so the only way to learn more and explore is to make it my at home. So yeah, definitely, if I would have time, I would probably, and I have a few shots that are still in blocking, very rough, and eventually I'm gonna finish them, but I don't know when.
It's time to it. One more question, if you can share with us again. But would be curious to know, like, because there are a lot of games of Supercell which are quite famous. Um, is there? I don't know if you're working now on a top secret project or it's something that is already out. Just to let know the people that will watch this video, what of the games they are probably playing did you do of that? If you can share it.
No, yeah. So unfortunately, I'm only working on those top secret games, so I can't really share
Okay.
anything. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not working on any live games at the moment.
Okay.
I'm only in the like new games department, so to say. So yeah, we're just exploring a lot, and you know, even a lot of stuff that I do goes to the trash, and we don't use that,
Mm.
but that's okay. You still learn a lot, and even though I can't put that on my reel, that's totally fine.
Okay. How do you feel that when yeah, I think that is something that companies tend to do, not quite often, but it can happen that someone
Yeah,
does something and then is thrown in the bin because it doesn't need it anymore.
yeah,
How did you? It probably happened many more times. Let's say during your
yeah,
career.
yeah.
How did it? How was it? How was it?
Uh, well, it feels kind of sad, especially if you really like the shot and you really put a lot of time and effort in those shots. Especially movies, you put so much more time on an animation, even if it's 3 seconds long. You know, it's a lot of time. Like you can work on it for months, and then if they throw it away, it's kind of like, it really hurts sometimes. But it's part of the industry, and in the end, you always have to remember that you're there to help the director, and not it's not your project. If you're the director, then you can choose, but um, you just have to be open to help him out and not help yourself out in that sense.
Okay, great.
But you don't have to agree with the director, of course. Like sometimes you don't understand why they throw stuff away, but
We're going to cut this part, obviously.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
there is a question that is curious. And do you think that during your lifetime in the game industry, you're moving towards the research and development side? And if it's so, uh, you are doing something that is completely new, and you are willing to share with juniors at Supercell, or is something that is going to like that on the day?
So I'm not really doing any R&D at the moment, if you meant that.
Yeah.
Um, no, I'm not really, because we have so much just animation work to be done. So I don't really have time. Even though, of course, like in the beginning of a project, you always explore, and they give you a lot of time at Supercell to explore styles and stuff like that. We really don't have any concrete deadlines at Supercell. It's just when you think something's done, it's done, and then it moves on. Uh, but yeah, I like at the moment, I don't have any like R&D going on at all, unfortunately.
Okay. Okay. And like to jump back a little bit on the feedback that you wished to have in the past, there is something that probably have changed doing in your life that is going to also happen in the life of a junior artist, that there is like a moment in which you discovered your skill as an animator, or is just something that is flowing through the day, and then at a certain point you just discover, okay, I'm a good artist, I'm a good animator.
Uh, yeah, it doesn't really happen like overnight, I guess. Like it doesn't click and then you realize something. Of course, something like small stuff, uh, but you start to see stuff yourself when the more you work and the more you explore and the more you grow, the more you will also see mistakes that you make and how you will avoid them the next time. But I wouldn't. Yeah, it's very hard. I think the best advice is just to go back to maybe like previous reels or previous shots and see if you can just get something from there, like try to give feedback to yourself from the old shots and see what you could have done better. uh, and if you start seeing a lot, then already you have improved, because if like there's so much stuff now I see in my previous shots that I would not do like today. I would never choose those actions, or or just polish it way more and stuff like that.
So it's just about feedbacks on your own reel, and you are never touching the animation again, or you are also going back to fix it a little bit.
Well, not really old ones. I've seen people are starting to do that. Like they go and try to make their first animation with with their new skill, and then they have it like side to side, which is kind of cool. But I never really do that because I just want to forget about my bad animation and try to be better the next time.
Okay.
Yeah, but like unfinished animations, of course, something I know that's not done, then that's different. Of course, then you might go back and just improve them and do the blocking again or stuff like that.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So we are so happy and so thankful to have you here today with us, and
Yeah, no worries.
we are also happy about that fact that you share so much with us,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that a lot of juniors are going to learn seriously a lot with your tip
Yeah,
and tricks.
hopefully. Yeah, I would be like one of my when you had like this question if I have any dreams, and the only dream I have like currently is just to maybe someday if I could give back to what I've learned and be maybe like teaching, students who maybe don't have the amount of money that these online workshops, they cost a lot of money, and some people they can't afford it,
Yeah.
and I wish I could just, someday when I have more time, I could just, give back and just try to teach people that need help. But it's hard. I know why, because you in the end animation is hard and it takes a lot of time, and teaching it also takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So it can be hard for even for artists that's already working to help other people.
Okay, just super last question. Do you think that there is something that a junior can do to start doing animation? There is like a bugs animation or like leaves animation or kangaroos animation that can help to learn a little bit.
I guess you should like. It's kind of cliche. Like I think every school does it, but they start from the ball, like just a bouncing ball,
Yeah.
which is like when I was starting in school, I was like, I don't want to do balls. I want to do characters. Like what, But it makes sense now. Everything. If you look at a human being, everything is sort of balls. Small balls, like from the hips and feet and head and everything. And if you just can master doing great bouncing balls, from there you will just learn more and more. Then you just layer it out and put more on it, and because then like Animation Mentor, they had a really good, their program was really good actually, because they started from a ball and then they have a ball with legs, then they have ball with legs and head and arms, and they go up from there. And I think this is probably the best way to go, and definitely not just take the nicest looking rig and start trying to do something, because that's super hard.
Okay.
Do you plan to make any masterclass on your own in the future? Any workshops you will do in the future? On
I
your own?
wish I like that. Like I said, that's my dream to someday. I still feel I have a lot to learn myself, so I don't know. But maybe some like beginner class would be nice to do. Maybe whenever I have time.
Okay, yeah, makes
Okay.
sense. Perfect.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Mickey.
Yeah, no worries.
For
It
our
was a
contribution.
pleasure being here. But yeah, I would just say for juniors to be yourself, and don't if you land a job, then don't ever say that there's something you can't do, because if you can't do it, then you'll learn. So that's one thing that I learned over my years of jobs, that just take, even if they give you a hard shot, just take it, and don't say that, yeah, I don't know if I can do this because it's too hard. Because eventually, if you ask people around, they are super open to help you in a studio. It's still like, the same core team, and they really want to help each other and not be, everybody is part of the same product in that sense. So,
Thank you for your time and for your help. We are so happy that you are here with us today, and thank you for your tip and tricks.
thank you. Thank you.
Bye, Mikey.
Bye.
Catch you back.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
See you. Take it easy.